Good to see you. This week, we're talking about equanimity. And we've been given lots of supports in the form of images and stories and metaphors to help us explore and experience equanimity. And I'd like to review some of them today. Not necessarily a PowerPoint, but I want to review some of them with you guys today. And Lee talked on Monday about how all the Brahma Viharas dance with each other. They weave in and out of one another. And she gave some really helpful examples of how each of the Brahma Viharas are informed and enriched by equanimity, metta, and karuna, and mudita. And a while back, Bill talked about the origin of the words equanimity. Equus means even. Animus means soul or being. Even being. An evenness in the world. And he also spoke about, and I think this is so important, how we might think of equanimity in terms of moments, equanimous moments. And for me, sometimes it's equanimous seconds. We get glimpses and a taste. We recognize, oh, here's less reactivity. A little more calm here. And we know that equanimity is not a passivity. It's a very engaged response. It's a being with. A being with. Slowly, in our own time, in our own pacing. You know, sometimes it's really hard to access equanimity, isn't it? Really hard. But I think our practice is helping us to trust a little more, that it's here for us. It's here for us as we settle, learn to settle these bodies, these hearts and minds. And he repeated the phrase, reacting less and welcoming more. Reacting less and welcoming more. As if everything has a right to be here. In our practice, we're learning how to identify the reactivity of our attractions and aversions. And we're learning to understand that we don't have to be defined or limited by our attractions and aversions as we open and soften and relax around them. So much of this is simply learning to relax. And we gain a broader sense of spaciousness. Catherine spoke about the biosphere and that experiment where they wanted to grow the trees in the optimal condition of the biosphere. And the trees would grow quickly, but then they would only grow to a certain limit, a certain point, and then they would die. And they realized, they found out that they died because they didn't have any wind. They didn't have the winds. They needed wind to grow roots, to develop flexibility. to maybe receive the nutrition from the sun and the water and the soil. We're like those trees. We can't stay in the nursery for forever. We need the strain and the challenges of the winds to grow. We can't control the winds. We learn how to adjust the sails, our sails. We can't control the waves. We learn how to surf. And this is one of the greatest gifts of mindfulness. I went in the wrong direction. Hold on. Susan described the sea kelp and how the sea kelp moves with the currents and the waves from the, in the ocean, but it's not torn from the ocean floor. It keeps sensing its way back to a comfortable dynamic. We're like the sea kelp. We have an innate ability to find our way back to homeostasis. And we want to pay attention to what helps us find our way back to equanimity and homeostasis. I think equanimity training is learning how to expand our sense of what homeostasis is for us. Equanimity training expands the scope of what we can take in. Now, that's the heart-mind training. Learning to love everything into the fold of mindfulness. Lori spoke about, equanimity is not about feeling less, but actually about feeling more. The Guest House is a beautiful poem about that. Learning to be the gracious host more and more. And sometimes in our practices, we're learning to be kinder to ourselves. It's important that we say, no, not now. I'm not gonna feed that now. I'm not gonna feed that now. And there is also the time when we are really learning to be with what is here right now, as it is. And for always keeping something at bay, how do we let them go? And Buddha taught that equanimity arises naturally when we understand that everything is impermanent, anicca, and that it's the grasping, it's the holding on that steals equanimity from us. Equanimity is not anything to be forced, but something that unfolds when the heart and the mind understand. And it's the recognition that all experiences are impermanent, and that our freedom lies not in controlling the outcomes, but in meeting what is here, as it is, with some steadiness, to the best of our ability. This is a practice. For some of us, drawing on a benefactor practice is a great support for equanimity. And Susan talks about Kuan Yin. Some people think of Mother Teresa, the Buddha, Thich Nhat Hanh, rabbis, spiritual teachers. And one of my favorite benefactors is Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I bring to mind her evenness, a measured and focused presence, particularly in talking about very difficult and thorny issues. I kind of imagine what that might feel like. The teacher, Sonny Rinpoche, talked about climbing onto his grandfather's lap, and he would climb onto his grandfather's lap as his grandfather was meditating. And he'd just simply sit there. Equanimity isn't a passive state. It's not a resignation. And it's not indifference, it's an engagement with life and the world as it is. It's a being with. So, these are just some of the supports that we've been given around equanimity. And I want to add this one story because I think it really sort of expresses the training aspect and the active nature of an equanimity practice. There was a 10th century Indian Buddhist teacher, and his name was Atisha. And he was about to embark on a very dangerous journey to seek out the teachings of a man named Sir Lingpa. And of course, you had to, these teachings were transmitted person to person. We couldn't Zoom. So it was a long journey he was embarking on. It was a pilgrimage. And all of his students, he had many devoted students, and all of his friends wanted the honor of traveling with him. And as he was just about ready to go, they said to him, you haven't chosen who you're taking with you on your journey. Who are you taking? And he said, I'm going to take T-Boy. No, you can't take him. He is one of the most irritating, obnoxious people you could. Why would you want to travel with him for this long distance? And Atisha said, actually, he's the perfect person for me to travel with, because I will get agitated and I will get irritated. What a wonderful opportunity for practice. He understood that discomfort is an important teacher. Now, I don't necessarily think we have to invite discomfort on our journey. It's going to come anyway. It's going to come along anyway. We all have a T-Boy. Who's your T-Boy? Who's yours? And whose T-Boy are you? Thank you for listening. Now we get to practice. Lucky us. So let the words just go into the atmosphere and come on and find these bodies. And I'm going to take this down. You know what to do. Take some time to stretch. Loosen up. See what maybe needs a little more TLC today. Just kind of throw a ball. Maybe some swaying. Sometimes the smaller joints of the wrist, the fingers. Maybe some tapping. And when you're ready in your time, no hurry, but coming into a posture that's comfortable and where you can feel supported. Maybe closing the eyes if they're not closed already. And noticing that the breath is already moving. We're inviting some unwinding and settling down, settling back. Easy does it. You might notice the breath cool as it enters and warmer as it leaves. The flow of air on the skin that's exposed. Perhaps there are little graspings or areas of tension. Just inviting them to unwind in their own good time. Softening. And for this short practice, we're doing our best to stay out of the thinking and discursive mind and inviting it to relax and drop open and wide and down into the stream of body breathing. We're orienting toward comfort and ease. Receiving this moment just as it is. As if this breath is precious. Softening and allowing. Just as it is.